July 21st, downtown Stockton, in the Huddle co-work space, the Valley Hackathon.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Dustin, the Valley Hackathon is where coders get together to create, design, and develop new software programs and get judged on how their performance and how creative and innovative they're going to be.
So this has been going on for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, this will be the second annual Valley Hackathon. The goal, obviously, for the organization, which is the Valley Hackathon, is to help promote and foster good relationships in the community and let people know that there's a growing tech ecosystem happening. So instead of having all of the talent, all the coders in the Valley go across the Bay Area, we want to keep them here and working and get them jobs, right?
Yeah, and it sounds like a fun event. So again, tell us the time, the day, and how people can find out about this.
So you can find out about the Valley Hackathon at valleyhackathon.com, and it's July 21st, Saturday. Check-in starts at 8:30. All teams need to be prepared and get there early, so it's a 8-hour marathon to develop and create something with your team. Get judged, and obviously they're going to have some breaks in between there, but yeah.
Where's the location at again?
That is downtown Stockton. That is in the co-working space at Huddle on North San Joaquin Street.
Well, Ben said it again. It's the second annual hackathon, downtown Stockton, Saturday, July 21st.
8 hours of coding.
From what time to what time?
8:30 to 7:30.
And people can find out about it at what?
They can go to valleyhackathon.com.
Well, that's Ben. I'm Dustin, and thank you for listening to this special PSA. And right here on the Voice of Stockton, KXVS. Have a great day. Brother. Hey, Ben.
Hey.
Tell me about this awesome podcast / radio show.
Watching from ringside?
That one, yes.
Yes.
Where we do great impressions like... Now that you're going to do your Macho Man, okay.
Oh, ooh, yeah.
Or, I'll tell you what.
What?
Or, hey, baby. I can't do... I'm trying to do my Dusty.
Baby.
Hey, baby. How you doing, baby?
How you doing?
I'll tell you what, baby.
Wrestling, watching from ringside. Is that you?
That's me, baby. Live and in living color.
Only on KXVS, baby, the Voice of Stockton.
So people on the Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope land are tune in any way you want to, because we are watching from ringside.
All day, every day, only on Friday, and maybe Saturday too. Sometimes on a Sunday, because you know they got them special shows. You know what I'm talking about, baby?
Stop stealing my gimmick. But
yeah.
Ben, let's get into all seriousness. This is like, watching from ringside, as we were talking about, is a pro wrestling show. With
the
fun.
only pro wrestling show on KXVS.
Or in Stockton.
Or in Stockton, yes.
Yeah, come tell us if you're somebody else.
The premier podcast.
Yeah, the premier podcast of pro wrestling talk in the Central Valley is me and Ben, and it's fun. So we talk about the world of wrestling from our perspective, and give you the latest going-ons of what's going on in the world of wrestling, right?
Yep. WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor.
All In
NXT.
too.
Yeah, and All In.
Which is brand new.
Brand spanking new.
So we're
Could change the face of wrestling as we know it.
We're going to break down all of that throughout, well, whenever we have a show. So I'll tell you what, Ben.
What?
Watching from ringside Fridays on KXVS, the Voice of Stockton. For Ben Sanchez, I'm Dustin Brightfield.
My name is Josh, and you're listening to KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM. Catch us live on Facebook, YouTube, and the TuneIn app.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Hello, welcome on a Friday afternoon, the Voice of Stockton, KXBS, the Voice and we're here, the Vigil show. Right now, I have a guest, a very unique guest that his name is Eugene. What's your last name?
Fuss, like to make a fuss.
Okay, fuss. So he's gonna be talking about what is your title?
Yeah. I have a public figure Facebook page, and it's called @In Community Stockton.
So anyway, Gene will be talking about different kinds of topic going on in the community. In the community, and then I'm going to ask them a specific question. What's the difference between a community advocate and a community admin, whatever you're saying?
Activist? Well, I am a community advocate, which means that I draw people into community. What's different in a community activist more often is pushing to make changes. And so I'm trying to be very inclusive.
Okay, so now tell me why do you want people to know about you, what are you trying to accomplish as far as in community Stockton?
Okay, well, I was born and raised here in Stockton, and it was a very different life then. I mean, the city was pretty much in community. Yeah, we had problems, and we had people who were only looking out for themselves. But as a whole, it was a community. And when I left to go to work for my career and came back 5 years ago, I saw that it had really changed and not for the better. And I had, the opportunity and the honor to be the primary caregiver for both of my parents for the last 5 years of their life. And that changed my life. I really learned how to be in community and how to serve people and how to be inclusive.
Wow. So tell me, Gene. So in order to be part of an inclusive community, what is your priority about you want to accomplish for?
Okay. Well, as you can see on my T-shirt, I am starting to work with Lord's Gym, and I also have the bracelet for Lord's Gym. And I want to give the children who are there, they're from ages 13 to 18, my life experience, to have them to be able to live with good life structure, because that's why they're there. And I have a gift to be able to offer that to them, and I have to earn their trust. It's not a given. They have had very traumatic life in many cases. A lot of their parents did not learn good life structure themselves. So how are they going to teach their children? Now, part of my work with Lord's Gym is giving me additional insights through the children's eyes. And that will hopefully allow me to gain, by earning the trust of the guardians, and have them to start practicing to the best of their abilities at the pace that they can, the good life structure with their children. And my hope is to have those guardians and parents then be willing, once they have proven to themselves and their children and us that they have that structure, to train other people, actually to mentor, to influence. Training is pushing. Again, I want this to be inclusive, so I want to influence. I want them to want it.
Okay, so if the Lord Jim have that particular program that provides you that structure, like a tool, or provide that structure?
Yes, for the
It does.
13 to 18-year-olds. It's
What is it again?
actually it's 13 through 17. When you turn 18, you are no longer eligible for a free membership, or I should say not free, but a sponsored membership. You know, there's people, the adults who join, half of their membership goes to sponsoring 18. Now, what I see as an additional need is that it does not address the children younger than 13. And those children are very vulnerable. Even 8 and 9-year-olds are being recruited by the gangs to sell drugs. Now, they get a, quote, reward because they get a commission for the sale. And they're getting some recognition. And this may be the first, what they consider, positive influence in her lives. But it really, only looks that way. And it starts them down a bad path. And without having the knowledge of good life structure, they don't know how to resist it, because they need to be loved. They need to have self-worth. It gives them self-confidence. And it is my hope and my passion to have them be able to make good choices for themselves.
Wow. Well, that's good that you have some kind of organization that will back up your support in mentoring children. I hope they are willing to look in that option lower, because I know that after 18 is still young. Still have not to decide what their life path will be.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to serve. They're still probably in college or trade school or whatever. They're trying to get their life in the right path.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that at 18, when you're still when you're like, they used to say, when you're between, you call it your tween, when you're in 20 and you're gonna be after 9, you're gonna be 20, so they call it tween.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and still have some kind of guidance as well. If the Lord Jim could have some kind of program or structure, I know that they focus on health, physical health, and spiritual health, and emotional health, but they need to have some other option, career path as well for a teenager
Mm-hmm.
who are 18, who are willing to have some kind of responsibility on their shoulder, like do some voluntary work, working in the desk, to clean up, things like that, to earn that trust.
They have that opportunity at Lord's Gym. At age 18, they now have the choice to become an adult member. And adult members are free to volunteer. There's no expectation that you have to volunteer with Lord's Gym. This is completely, you want to do it.
Okay, I understand last year the Lord Jim had made did they build or they went to another location, or they're still in the same location? They got bigger.
This, I don't know the
I-
history before January of this year. I only saw them putting together the facility that was the old Copeland Sports over there on Tam O'Shanter and Hammer Lane.
So okay, so they moved because I remember that there used to be on Tam O'Shanter.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to went. My brother used to go there, like I believe it was like 5 years ago, and he was telling me about. I live off on Lower Sac, so it's like around the corner. Right
Sure,
there.
sure.
But I do believe that sometimes it's a lot of things happening that people are not aware changing, that they might have a program that are not that community are not aware of. And when you talk about youth, that's a commodity. Some people, now people want to raise leaders to run for politics. Some people want to raise students to become mentorship. Some people want to raise their children to be what's another word? In sport, sportsmanship. So it's like there's a lot of programs dealing with children, affecting children, all that stuff. And that's it, because are we investing in our youth? That's the thing of what we're doing right now. Are we investing in our youth?
Yes.
But in the same time, are we investing in ourselves too to educate our youth properly in a way that are we allowing organizations to become expert at raising our children? Hold on, let me get that back. But as far as that concerned, that's what my concern about. Because if you allow organizations to become a parent to your youth, how can you being a parent advocate or a parent who's willing to know what's really going on with their children's activity?
Because I am not going to be an organization. I am going to be an advocate. And that education of the children comes from home, at home. We can provide the children a safe place at Lord's Gym, but we can't substitute for what's going on at home. And that's why, to me, there's still a hole that it's going to take a community much bigger than me. There's no way that I can do it by myself or even with a small group. It really will take a community.
Well, I totally agree. I believe that to raise a child, it takes a community to raise a child.
Yeah.
And when we talk about community can be very diverse.
Sure.
And
It means different things to different people.
right, and sometimes, like you say, that I know that I know there was a program in the gym that offered teenager video game, healthy nutrition, and I think that was where their model. They were trying to getting more people to be part of that particular.
It goes well beyond that.
Okay.
They have meetings with the teens, and some of them are sharing information with the teens. There is a meeting that they do that is the teens meeting, and they have the teens talk about what the teens want to talk about. And those meetings have really enriched the experience. That's what makes Lord's Gym so special.
So let me ask you this: how often is the meeting that they so tell me, what was the last meeting that that they were interested in a topic?
Every week they have a different topic. It's one, there are 3 meetings every week. and one of those meetings, it's the kids' choice.
So it's like a peer dress. Is it a peer group or?
It's a moderated peer group. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, also, I know, but well, I'm gonna ask you this question. People might think that the title, like the Lord Gym, is that a religious gym? Is that a Christian gym? Is that what is it? When you say Lord Gym, what did people back in their mind saying? Oh, that might be a church that's built into the gym.
It is.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. It was founded by a man who is a minister. I do not remember his name off the top of my head. And it was his concept to start this. And so they use what are Christian principles of living, but it is not proselytizing Christianity.
What is that again?
It is not proselytizing,
What does that
meaning
mean?
they're not trying to recruit you into being Christian.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now, can you give me more? So, in other words, they don't force them, but they do have. I do think that they have. I think they need to have some belief. I understand that. You know, the value respecting your elder, respecting authority. It's in the Bible. I understand that. You know, I brought up. I used to be a youth minister in the campus ministry in Chabot College. But at the same time, it's like in college, you know, they're insecure. They're not sure about their degree. That really what they really want.
Yeah.
In the degree. So but we didn't put it as a non-denominational.
Yeah.
But now we can't even bring the Bible to college no more. We can't even bring the Bible to school, and that really hypocrisy. Just because you're an atheist doesn't mean that you don't have to do what I do. You know.
Right.
So I do believe that we already had stigmatized people who are. If you're a minority, you don't have the voice to have it. If the majority is what you believe, then you're in the wrong side.
Right.
So I do believe that the way the kids are today do not have any value when it comes to consideration, authority, respect, respect one another. Just because you have a disagreement doesn't mean that you can either you associate with them or you don't associate with them. Either way.
Please understand that it is not just the children. It is many of the adults.
Right. So by example, like you just said in the beginning of the program, like you said, parents don't give their kids structure
Because they don't know it themselves.
Yeah. So when they fall into the category of what can they do to be part of the community, that's for their children to be safe and have some value and mentorship, and they're themselves are confused. Either they might be on drugs or have their problem.
Sure.
They think everything is negative. If you know, some people will put down their own children. Oh, you're stupid, or you're not no good. And
That's the main problem.
They'll affect their confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And it's all about the kids' feeling of worth and self-confidence that is going to have them make the better life choices.
Okay, so now, let me ask you that. I want to talk about the 4th of July.
First, before we go to the 4th of July, I have one thing I'd like to add. The principles of good life structure go in almost every culture. I don't remember the story. If you go onto my Facebook page, you'll read it. It's about the old Cherokee Indian and the 2 wolves. And it's just good choices. And I mean, the last line of the story, where the kid asks, well, how do you know which wolf that you're going to become. And it says, the elder says, the one that you feed. So it puts the responsibility on the child to make the choice. That is universal.
You know what? That's kind of like the structure that my mom used to talk to me in a Spanish poet. That a guy said that, it was a small little village. It's a folklore Indian story. The village was protected by the wolf, and as long as you start feeding them and everything, they'll be protected of it. They will not go and attack their village and things like that. And the wolf said, okay, as long as you leave us alone, feed us, and we don't attack you. Finally, man got greedy, and all of a sudden, because of that, there's no more wolves. There's nobody can protect them. So it almost had that kind of mentality of responsibility. It's accept your own. You got to accept the responsibility. People don't want to accept their own responsibility.
Yes.
And when you say, "Oh, I didn't do it," don't put my blame. Don't be someone else did it. Somebody did it to this. And yet, by your acting, you should be responsible for your own responsibility of your action.
Yes.
And face the consequence instead of putting finger on somebody else. And one finger, you point one finger, and three fingers pointing back at you. So, nevertheless, people cannot be victimized. Something that children have no authority. But now, the laws have changed more, that it protect the children more, but there are so many laws and regulations that they've been passed to protect the children and have not been done to protect the children enough. You know what I mean? Quick enough.
The laws also don't go into influencing the guardians. It's protecting the kids, which is taking care of a symptom. But it's not solving the problem.
Okay. All right. Great. So, okay. Anything you want to add before we go to the next thing?
No. I think you've covered this very well.
Great. Now, I know that last time, what was it? We were going to talk about the 4th of July. And it was really amazing how I know Tino Dami. I know there's another guy's name, Rick something. He's the one who did that Good Morning Vietnam last year, and I know Joe something that he's from the veteran food bank over there down there too, and I got to know them last year, and I told exactly what I felt, how you felt. Like my dad just passed away. He was in World War II, and he was in the Navy and all that stuff. My 3 brothers went to Vietnam. 2 of them came back. One of them had a Purple Heart and also the Gold Star, a Gold Star soldier, and it's written in his tomb. He's on a memorial video. So it really. I was born into a military family, but unfortunately, my dad was, was kind of surprised that I was born deaf, born without an ear, and I couldn't have the opportunity to join the Army, which I wanted to, or the Navy, or become a police officer, or a fire truck, or become a doctor. Okay, then you have that type of accessibility and ADA or all that stuff, because it's none of that was not giving the opportunity.
Sure.
So I felt left out, and I just feel like, I was kind of like, wow, the talk that my dad talked about is like, man, don't cry. He's tough. I mean, he's like, oh my God, he's tough. Like, and one time he went to this organization that he was, he was really involved, and that now he felt kind of emotional, and he started crying. And my mom was like asking, "What happened? What's going on? What happened? What's going on?" And he said nothing. So ever since then, he started. I don't want to go back there no more. And so he said, and he had that toughness.
Yeah.
And so and I really and when my brother would talk about their that they could relate the bond, you know, and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then, so really interesting,
Sure.
the conversation that I could not relate because the brotherhood and
Mm-hmm.
the things like that happened. And so I know I get the relationship with people in the community that I belong to in their culture. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I grew up, we grew up like almost totally grew up together like family. Like, I consider it like a sister or brother or whatever. They're like, I mean, but you know what? And just getting back into the July VA, and the line participated, and I know
Mhm.
you're a line member as well,
Yes,
line
yeah.
host, and
Mhm.
you did a tremendous patriotic for your dad.
Well,
And hold on, let me finish. What caught my eye that it was really hot, and you were walking all around. I think it's about a mile.
yeah, that's
about
it.
a mile.
Yeah, it's a little less, but
But
yeah.
it was warm, but the weather was warm.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you were right behind us walking, and I was really impressed. I just told Connie, I said, Connie, look,
Mhm.
Gene is walking all the way down
Mhm.
in memory of his dad honor, and that was a commendable thing you did for your dad. And then I think I'm sure that and I told him, I think your dad must be proud of you for doing that for him. And I because you know and it's when you have when your dad like me in his deathbed when I had hospice, he died at home in his own bed surrounded with family he loved, and then I thought he died in his dying last breath and everything. So he was there. We were all witness his death,
Yes.
but we love him so much, you know. So it came to me too, you know, and how I look at life, how I look at life different and things like that. A lot of you think that they're invincible, that they're you know, they're
We
like,
did too.
I know. And then when you see those somebody dead, and you know that everything that must born have to die, you know, and
Right.
whether you don't have to be old to die. You have to, you could get in a car accident, somebody could shoot you and all that. But the thing what you did to get on the subject, that you did an honorable thing for your dad. Why did you do that? Why did you do that for?
Well, to me, I mean, it's a bittersweet thing that I did. My dad passed away last September at age 96. And, you know, I also, I learned the compassion, and I learned what it meant to really serve. And he was a kind soul. He was not the guy who says men don't cry. He was have integrity. Be true to yourself and be true to others. So he led by example. You know, I was a scrawny kid, unathletic. I got bullied a lot at school. I earned some of it because I compensated because I was unathletic, and I didn't have difficulty in school with learning. So I got an attitude of, hey, I'm holier than thou. That didn't serve me very well.
Oh wow, okay. That's true. But I mean, people even teenagers look at each other and say, "Are you gonna be a follower or a leader?" You know, I said, "Dad, you have to have both because you have to. In order to be a leader, you have to have a follower with you. If you become a follower, you have to have someone lead to follow a good example." So he gets mad at me. Hey, that's true, but don't follow dumb sheep. I said, okay, don't follow dumb sheep. But he always had some kind of advice that I could never understand. He kind of triggered me, like, oh, what's that mean? He's always said his way. My dad never grew up with a dad. My mom was an Indian, adopted Indian. We were Apache Indian. And my dad always talked about it. He was born in a farm. They didn't have hospital back then. He was born in 1920, the Roaring 20, you know. So there's a lot of people died from polio, people died from measles, simple thing, you know. So that was a critical era, you know.
Right. Yeah. My dad There were 16 children in his family. Only 8 lived past the age of 2.
See? So that, and then my dad told me that he had 2 sons that was born in his teenager. He wanted to serve he wanted to serve the military when he was 17. They told me no, but somehow his mother kind of write it down that let him go, and he did go. So he's trying to get run away from home, you know, because there was no food there anyway. So and that's how he served the military, and he got what he wanted. He served around the world and everything. But still, that's how nowadays. Back then, right away, where I'm gonna live, how I'm gonna get out of the house. Now people want to stay longer with their parents. People want to think that they want to take care of themselves. Parents can. Remember the news when the parent had to go to the court and get her 30-year-old son out of the house? How long? What did it take? Why did the court have to be involved when who are the parents? They are, and they have to have power. They do. You don't need no court to tell your kid to go get out of the house.
It's about setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah, healthy boundaries. You know, if my mom tells me to leave, I definitely will leave. You know, if mom tells me, Doug, you know, it's about time to move out.
Yeah.
You know, I was not gonna be like, no, I definitely move. I would respect that.
Yes.
Because I think that it's about time, like an old saying, the mother knows that when children learn how to fly.
Yeah.
Whether they fly, whether they're ready or not, one will die, but the other one will still fly out in the net.
Yeah. Well, I have some personal witness of some of the things that can happen to those children who don't leave the house because they don't have the confidence in themselves. They tend to become withdrawn, hermits, depressed. They don't feel they're worth anything. And they won't take initiative because they don't know how to develop that initiative. And you have to influence. You cannot tell a kid, well, you know, this is what's going to happen, because the kid's going to be afraid. And it's not that he doesn't.
He's not a kid no more. He's a man. He's a grown-ass woman and man.
He is in a man's body.
Yeah, that's true. But it's still, I mean, but the thing is that for a person who live with their parent for more than 30 years should be able to adapt to it regardless. You know.
Well, either that or they have a mental illness that needs to be diagnosed and managed.
Okay, now you did touch the topic of diagnosing mental illness. I'm an advocate with people with mental issues, but there's some people who been diagnosed wrong. People are, because a lot of time I have talked to doctors that are psychiatrists. They cannot diagnose your brain.
No.
Because they go by what you say, what you think, by your action. People could play that off.
Sure.
But yeah, you cannot diagnose somebody who are mental at all until they do that. Hold on. But why? Because sometimes, in order to don't want to have the responsibility that their dad and their mom have to pay their bill, the bikini, the water bill, the mortgage, and all that stuff, that is frightening to them.
Yes.
And so when they see that responsibility, it's a big step. Now, I personally, when I was married, I had my own house. Okay, I lived with my wife. I moved in. I had to pay the bill. I had to take care of everything there. And then I had to go to work. I had to take care of my stepson. I knew him when he was 18 months, and he knew me after the father. But after we got divorced, she ripped kind of like I haven't seen her for a long time. So my dad, I know that when he was diagnosed fibrosis from asbestos related cause from the Navy when they bombed the test.
Sure. Those ships in the Navy were loaded with asbestos.
Yeah, and he was in the submarine and so we were trying to get him to get medical attention, and they were like, no, we can't. You have to have a doctor say that he was, but all red tape. Yeah. Now, back to the point when I was living and when we got divorced, I was just so responsibility of the house now.
Mhm.
Our income got divided, and good, I was fast enough to know that, you know what, I said, I got to rent this out. You know, I don't want to lose my credit. I don't want to
Mhm.
foreclose my house. I don't, you know, that's the house that because my mom gave my inheritance. Like the Bible said, you get, I got my inheritance already. He gave it to my brother. He gave it to my other brother. He gave it to my sister. One of them lost the house. And then I said, well, you know, I didn't want to lose that same thing that I had to do with my brother during that year era. So finally, my dad said, Doug, come and move in with us, take care of us, and then we go and we rent the house. So, and I did. And so, for a long time, like you said, I was a caregiver with my dad and my mom. My mom is she's going to be 87 right now. No, sorry, I think about it. I don't want to offend her. 85, and she's still active, you know, and still worried about me, what she's going to pay and everything. So I said, look, don't worry about it, Mom. I have to learn to live on my own with my brother. You know, my brother's living with him, so. And my brother had a mental illness too. We didn't know that his father was an alcoholic. And then when he had visitation, he would take him back to his house. He'd be drinking, and he'd have bad people. And then when he come back during school time, at Sunday night, he'd be sober. And we don't know anything at the rest of the weekend. So somehow he became an alcoholic. So, and then people who have mental illness don't take alcoholism as a disease, you know. We lost that track of that.
Well, there's a little bit I'd like to talk about the medical aspects.
Okay.
You know, you had mentioned that they can't tell you that you have mental illness. They can only listen to what you say. And, you know, they do also look at patterns in your behaviors and your reactions. But there are now diagnostic tests that they actually look at the brain activity as a function of the place in the brain. And for different types of personality disorders and other neurological disorders, there are patterns. And they have done enough of those that they have some pretty good confidence that they can, you know, come to a conclusion that yes, this is a biological mental illness. This is not just something that is, you know, a condition of their thinking.
Okay, now that's true. But the thing is, what did it take for a parent who doesn't know those things, and the thing is, and took that, because insurance will not pay for that.
No, you don't know.
It won't cover that.
Yeah.
And they won't cover for counseling. It won't cover for that.
Right.
So none of that thing will not work on the real issue.
Sure.
So when like you say, we talk about youth a lot. Okay, that ain't gonna be our future to take care of us. Now, at the meantime, what can we do to better prepare ourselves as an example, as a parent who's an example that whoever had kid, to be a better parent and better mentor?
Well,
is there any program like that? No.
No, that's where I'm getting involved. As I say, you know, for me, the word community can be interpreted in many different ways, but when you put the two words in community together, that is a special condition, because that is a value system. Now, many of the children who develop the mental illness, bipolar disorder is one that's very common in children who have been put down by their parents. That child is under constant stress. That stress does things to your brain after a while. And so, you know, it isn't giving you bipolar disorder, but it certainly sets you up for it.
Right. It's a matter of environment. It's a matter of environment of where they live.
Yes.
How you've been brought up. You know, and it really shows that, you know, depending on what content of TV they're watching.
Sure.
Now children are I see parents letting their kids use their phone and watch YouTube, and you don't know what they're watching. And then they go.
It doesn't matter. It's not a substitute for socialization.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's something that you just distract them. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you let them using your phone? You break it, and then you don't know what you're gonna have in that phone. They're not supposed to witness something like that. So I do believe that responsibility is the key thing. Everybody is responsible for their own action, and I do think that what you're doing is doing great in community in Stockton. And I hope that the Lord King could come in one day to interview them as well as you to talk about their service and their program, to get a better idea.
Sure.
So what they're coming from as well too, because I think they make a positive role model. I do believe in the Bible. I do believe in things like that, but we don't talk about it because people are afraid to say it or get in trouble or things like that.
Well,
but at this point, we could talk more about it. It's almost getting close to timing. Do you have anything
I have
to say?
one last thing I'd like to say. Okay. Julie Dameron Brown, who also has a radio show here on KXVS. She did interview Lord's Gym. And yes, so that is available in your archives. And there are many giants in this community. She is one of them. Andy Prokop from United Way is another. Wayne Richardson from Gospel Center Rescue Mission is another one, and there are countless others.
Going too fast, Wayne
Richardson.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are countless others. Those are the ones that immediately come to my mind, and I am using them as my model, so that at some point I will have earned the honor to walk in their shoes.
Well, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you came and talked about the community in Stockton and really promoting the Lord's Gym as a mentor and trying to build a positive community.
Right, but I am just starting there.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It always takes something to take a first step to start somewhere, okay?
Sure.
But anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you everyone for watching the Vigil show. Well, that was name, but the Vigil show. And thanks to the Voice of Stock. And by the way, tomorrow we're having a Summer Wonderland Christmas in July fundraising at Bedford Block Party. We're gonna have music, art, food, drink, vendor, raffle, and fun. So it's gonna start at 6 o'clock, but come early. Come early so we can find some parking, okay? And I'll be here at the booth representing the Lion and taking pictures and greeting people. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a wonderful day.
And this is for you.
And I'll see you tomorrow Saturday. Bye-bye.